That's wonderful. How many folks here, how many know who Joshua Lisec is before this call? Put a one in the chat if you know who Joshua Lisec is. Put a zero in the chat if you do not know who Joshua Lisec is. Let's get a sense of how many people. What a beautiful day. So, Mr. Lisec here is Dr. Vedia's secret weapon. He's the guy who hypnotizes you into taking care of yourself. And that's basically what he does as a ghostwriter. He wrote Stay Off My Operating Table 5 years ago by talking with Dr. Vadia for months and months between airports, between surgeries, and getting that all down into a book. And that book has saved a lot of people from heart attacks, from being unhealthy in different kinds of ways. And Joshua's going to pull it off the bookshelf there right now, amongst his many other things. Stay Off My Operating Table. So he's the man behind Dr. Vadia, with getting the message in physical form. But the great news is we're coming out with a new book this summer, Dr. Vadia, Joshua Lisec together. It's called Stay Off My Kitchen Table. And in this conversation today, we're going to share a bit about that book, who it's for, how it's going to help you change or even save your life. You're going to hear personal stories from Dr. Vadia and from Joshua Lisec on how understanding the core tenet of this book, which is nutrient bioavailability, saved their lives, both of them individually, and helped them still be alive today. And you're going to leave this call knowing exactly what to do next to get some exciting bonuses to help you get even more than everything that I just stated on your path and your loved ones' paths to health. So let's start off with Dr. Vadia. Dr. Vadia, why a second book?
Yeah, Stay Off My Operating Table gave you the guide, right? It was what to do. Stay Off My Kitchen Table is going to tell you why that's what to do. And of course, it's been nearly 5 years since Stay Off My Operating Table. Lots of, exciting updates, right? People are talking about this. We have the Maha movement. We had the new food pyramid released two weeks ago. And this is the book that explains why that all is happening and why it is so important to focus on what you're eating, the nutrient density of what you're eating, the bioavailability of what you're eating. And I know some of those terms might sound a little bit complex, but we break it down, we keep it simple, and we give you the guide to what should stay off your kitchen table so that you can stay off my operating table.
Now, Joshua, when you ghost wrote slash co-authored slash hypnotized all of us with Stay Off My Operating Table, a book mostly about eating meat, as the 90% of you who've read the book know, you were a vegan. What's going on with a vegan who can ghostwrite a book about eating meat? And are you still a vegan today?
Yeah, well, what we're talking about here, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Dr. Vadia. What we're talking about here is just pure talent of somebody who can completely remake themselves into someone else and share
Level
someone
two.
else's beliefs that they completely disagree with. That said, we're going to dial the ego down a little bit right now. Uh, and I will share that that book was instrumental in teaching me significant truths about the low carb diet, the problems with plant-based diets, which are basically, as we call it in the next book, Stay Off My Kitchen Table. It's vegan, vegetarian, these types of diets are really carbivore diets. And it is almost impossible to get the amount of protein that your body needs from a vegan diet, from a plant-based diet, while also getting the proper balance of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Because the problem is there's not really a low carb vegan protein. And this is one of the concerns that Dr. Vadia shared with me when he had a chance to review my blood work a number of years ago. He basically said, long term, the vegan diet is going to be significantly suboptimal for you. Turned out to be correct. And I ended up lasting a full decade. We like to joke that the alternate title for this book was 10 Years a Vegan. And it is, in a way, sort of my memoir of my health journey. The great insight I think that this book is going to share with all of you is this word that we've been seeing trend in Google searches, people are searching for. The word is bioavailability. And the idea with bioavailability is that your health, your experience of your energy, your get up and go, is not based on just what you eat, but what your body absorbs. See, we all know, for example, many of us now, myself being one of them, that if you're going to want to get your proper balance of fats, okay, you're better off eating an egg, let's say, than something that is this DHA supplement that smells like fish but comes from algae, which is kind of the vegan supplement. Why is the egg more bioavailable than the algae in a pill? It's refined, nasty business. Okay, so why is that the case? Well, bioavailability is to what extent is your body capable of consuming the nutrients that are in this food or the way that the food is prepared? And so the way that we pitch this sort of unofficial Maha cookbook that is Stay Off My Kitchen Table is that we teach you how to get everything you can out of all the meals you're going to be making anyway, and what foods you want to remove from your diet over a 4 week period. So it's an elimination diet that is specifically for people who are in a situation like mine, where you had been eating a certain way and you noticed that there seemed to be a correlation between what I'm eating and not feeling great. Unfortunately, there have been some people who've experienced a low carb diet. They tried a low carb diet, for example, and they're in that same situation. I thought it was supposed to work for me. I've been having some issues. What's going on there? And so by walking you through a 4 week elimination diet, starting with eating only the most bioavailability maxed foods in week 1, and then opening up some other categories in week 2, then week 3, and then week 4, and that's something that can be maintained. And by the way, when I left the vegan diet, this is exactly the protocol that I followed under the counsel and guidance of Dr. Philip Ovadia here. So I am, in a way, patient zero of this book. And it's interesting to be the case study of a book as you are writing it. And of course, it turns out that it in fact worked. The thyroid problem that it seems like veganism had contributed to me is no longer an issue. The high estrogen, the low testosterone, the brain fog, the memory loss, all of things, those, of course, the literature shows are directly correlated with veganism. All of those have cleared up in just a number of weeks. So I'm most excited about this book because we're going to be teaching you all so much more about what foods to eat and how to prepare them and how to pair them, and even which types of supplements do make sense, vitamins which do make sense for you based on that which your body is most able to absorb. Because if you eat something, and as some folks, if you're having really expensive pee, the phrase goes, where you're consuming not really bioavailable supplements and vitamins that are really expensive, we cover all of that. It is a bit longer than the previous one. Our publisher is stoked at the length that it turned out to be. We're doing this with Victory Belt Publishing out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and we're very excited about partnering with them on this project. We got a traditional book deal, you might say, for this. So this is not a self-published thing, but this is a real forthcoming book that many of you will indeed see in bookstores near you.
Question for the room. How many of you have ever eaten low fat in order to be healthier? Put a yes in the chat if you've ever in your entire life on purpose, or in my case, when I was a kid, I had skim milk, I had margarine. Yeah, I've raised both hands over here. No. Who's the no? Who's lying? Okay, hold on. There was a no. I want that person to come on stage. Anna, you're amazing. There was two no's. So two of you never got brainwashed. You are, Jim says, yes, for cardiologist. Eek. Dr. Vadia, we all know everyone in the room at this point with the realfood.gov, the new food pyramid, we're all clued in that low fat is not actually the healthiest way. You can't just say eat less fat and you'll be healthier. Dr. Vadia, can you help us understand why fat is actually related to making stuff able for us to absorb it, and give us a bit of the science behind that?
Yeah, definitely. So, and understand, right, that this room is probably a very small minority. If you go out on the streets of the US, around the world, and you ask is a low-fat diet healthy? You're still going to get mostly yes answers to that question. People don't realize not only is this no longer true, but it was never true to start with. This just comes from the combination of poorly done science, conflicts, right, that come from the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and even the healthcare system. And it's the old story of that the lie can spread around the world, right, before the truth even gets its shoes tied, is how the old saying goes. But low-fat diets were never beneficial to our health. The evidence is all around us, right? Because we've been giving that message now for 70 years. And our health has noticeably worsened during that time. We are in much worse shape than we were before we started giving that advice. And the other thing we need to acknowledge is, low-fat diets were never our default human diet, right? As we were evolving as human beings, one of the things that allowed us to evolve as human beings is our focus on fat. The earliest humans, and Dr. Bill Schindler, who wrote the foreword to this book, talks a lot about this, how the evolution of tools that we use to start processing our food in the earliest sense were all geared towards getting more fat out of that. We developed tools to be able to open up the bones of animals and get the bone marrow, which is one of the highest fat things available in animals, and all sorts of examples of how we maximized our fat intake to allow us to evolve as human beings. So low fat was never part of a true human diet. It's only when we had, technology that developed, right, to allow us to pull fat out of food, that this even became an option. And again, since we've been doing that, our health has noticeably worsened.
So we're talking about unlearning something that all of us knew was true when we were younger, whether it was as children or in our old age, whenever it was that we learned about how to be healthy by eating low fat. We're talking about changing our brains around and learning a new lesson. Now, you see Joshua Lisec has behind him on the wall there that book, Reframe Your Brain by Scott Adams. Put a yes in the chat. Have you guys read this book, Reframe Your Brain by Scott Adams? Put a yes in the chat. Let's see how many folks are already familiar with this. Fantastic. So what you all don't know is that in this new book, we are hypnotizing you to believe what Dr. Ovadia just said. Because while your brain can believe what Dr. Ovadia just said, if you've lived your entire life with the low fat is what's healthy for you, we need to include a little bit of hypnosis here to go change all those prior behaviors. Joshua was involved in this book, Reframe Your Brain, which has a huge number of really great things. And I see that for so many of you, this is the first time you've heard of this book. The most powerful reframe that's not exactly on top of it, it gives you the idea, is that Scott Adams wrote, going from, and Joshua, correct me on the exact language, but to go from alcohol is fun to alcohol is poison. And Dr. Ovadia took that and said one step further, well, alcohol is poison, but alcohol in your blood gets transformed into sugar, and sugar is poison. And Dr. Ovadia's stance on just think of sugar as poison, borrowing a Scott Adams ism, a reframe, has been useful for quite a few people in changing their brains around, changing their behavior so you can align your behavior with what your brain knows. Joshua, can you help us understand what that reframing process looks like and how you've used that? Well, you used it in the first book, but used it in this next book to help people on this call change their behavior.
Sure thing. Yes. So reframing is a subject that comes from hypnosis. Now, if you're not familiar with hypnosis, hypnosis is the art and science of subconscious belief change that drives new behaviors. Many people feel frustrated that they'll set a New Year's resolution, or maybe you set a new goal, or you want to get this number to this, or you want to get this number to say this. And it's kind of hard to stick to doing the thing that you're supposed to continue to be doing that gets the outcome that you want. It can be very difficult. Well, what hypnosis will often do, and I've ghostwritten almost a dozen books on hypnosis at this point. What hypnosis do, it's a process of planting new beliefs into your mind that result in a new identity. So in the case of myself being a vegan, there's such things that you just don't eat when you're a vegan. So the identity comes first, and then the results follow, the behaviors follow, rather than like, oh, I feel like I want to eat this. I feel like this. So if you have an identity of this is just who I am and therefore what I do, it's so much easier to stick with it. And that's why this book is the Stay Off My Kitchen Table is going to be very different from other books that you might have read that just convey useful information about the low carb diet, about the necessity of animal products in the diet, about, let's say, myths about low fat versus high fat food. That's all great to know. But just because you know it doesn't mean it's actually going to change your behavior. So we first give this specific timeline of 4 weeks. And there is a question in the chat. A fellow named Gabriel asked something to the effect of, how do you know your body is better able to absorb certain foods? How do you know it's more bioavailability? So part of that can be measured. But the other part of it is also measured not in a lab, but by you personally. What we have everyone do in this book is you basically take a log of any of your symptoms, your baseline, prior to changing a single thing. See, in food science, in diets and nutrition, it is often very difficult to get accurate data in this space. But at this point, I've ghostwritten almost 40 books on health and wellness for various physicians and clinicians over the years. And this is something we consistently see is all the data on food will often rely on self-reporting. And the trouble there is people forget. They forget what they started eating, when they stopped eating it, how they felt different, what exactly was the portion size. So some of it's just kind of made up. So what we do here is we make you the sample size of one. And there's a series of relatively straightforward and even quick tests that you get to take, numbers you get to log before you change anything. So you have an accurate baseline of what you're doing and how you feel. And then each week as you make a change, you simply update how you're feeling, what's going on. You update it so that you have, after a period of 4 weeks, you know exactly what you changed and what outcome it had. So it's not just this theory, well, hypothetically, it's better to, let's say, eat a beef patty with cheese with this specific thing rather than, oh, I'm going to have, let's say, blocks of tofu with raw broccoli as my meal instead because that's healthy according to the experts who are fortunately falling out of fashion, but some people do in fact still believe that sort of thing. But we can see exactly what you changed and what impact that had. So we remove the guesswork and we add the certainty. And when you have certainty, you get this burst of energy and you realize the thing that I did, it actually worked. So I'm the type of person this works for. And now your identity is changed. And you are now the kind of person who is just simply able to eat this way and live this way and get these kinds of outcomes in your life. Not just with the supplements, but of course with the food as well. And yes, we have a crap ton of recipes in this book. So it's not just eat this stuff in week 1, which is a big frustration people have with books, is just make this, just go eat this. No, we say here are the recipes, here's the meal plan. So we tell you exactly what to eat, how to prepare it, when to eat, and when not to eat it. And hence that's the idea of the elimination diet over 4 weeks. I'm so excited about this book because, like I shared, it is in fact part of my own story of learning to make these new foods that I hadn't eaten in 10 years and transitioning to this particular diet. I'm going to talk to just the fellows right now. Going from the vegan diet that was like low fat, relatively high carb, going to that, to following the 4-week elimination diet protocol, it was like going through a second puberty. I kid you not, fellas. I kid you not. I don't know if I can present better marketing for you than that. There is no exogenous testosterone replacement therapy involved here, nor hormones shots or anything like that. So what I can tell you is results may not be typical, but why don't you pre-order the book and find out for yourself?
Before we discuss the pre-order process, Dr. Vadia, how many heart surgeries are you up to now?
3,154, we'll say.
Or
A
so.
lot.
Of those, how many people on your operating table would have benefited from eating a more high bioavailability food diet?
I would say 100% of them.
So while you can't control heart disease completely through your diet, you can give yourself a better chance of not seeing this guy in scrubs like he's right now. Are you in a hospital right now, Dr. Vadia?
Left the hospital just a little bit ago, but yes,
So
unfortunately, someone
life
else who
goal,
didn't read the first book.
life goal, don't see this guy when he's in scrubs. That's my life goal. And it should be for all 197 of you on the call, because that's not a good day for you, even if it goes well. So let's talk about the pre-order process because we have a master persuader hypnotist guy there. We have Dr. Vedi. We sold over 60,000 copies of the first book so far. That's a lot of people changing their behavior. At Ovadia Heart Health, our mission is to prevent 1 million heart attacks. So we're moving away from Ovadia the heart surgeon. We said stay off my operating table. The next entry is change what's on that plate, stay off my kitchen table. We're going to help a lot more people than with book number one in Dr. Vedia's decades-long career as a surgeon. So, what kind of bonuses do we have for people that are ordering early?
So the first bonus we have is if you go to stayoffmykitchentable.com, which is where you can find all the links to pre-order the book. And if you order 2 copies of that book, and then you're going to go, and don't worry, you'll all be getting an email with these instructions, but you go to ifixhearts.com/bonus, and you send us a copy of the receipt, you're going to get my entire library of courses. We have about 8 or 9 courses on various aspects of health that we've developed over the years that you're going to get for free. And you're also going to get an electronic version of Stay Off My Operating Table. So those of you who said you haven't read it yet, you don't have it yet, this is a way to get that book for free. And all you need to do is pre-order 2 copies of Stay Off My Kitchen Table, send us the receipt, and you'll get all of those bonuses.
And those courses include, someone asked in the chat about fasting. We have a course on fasting, course on metabolic health, course on sleep, course on cholesterol, course on other lab work markers, and a few other things besides. A course on protein, understanding the ins and outs of proteins. These courses will both be educational for you, but also arm you with better questions to ask your doctor. So no matter what medical people you're currently seeing, you'll just be more informed and have better questions to ask them. Then these courses go far beyond what you'll find in Stay Off My Operating Table and beyond what you'll see in Stay Off My Kitchen Table, because we can afford to go in great depth on some very specific blood markers in the lab work course, for example, that wouldn't really fit inside a normal length book. So that's that first bonus. Yes, Sandy, absolutely. Send us a receipt to that website, ifixhearts.com/bonus. If you've already bought the book and you're overachiever, fantastic. Go ahead and send the receipt there with however many copies you bought so we can get you into the right bonus. What other bonuses do we have?
So the other thing that we will be doing is for everyone that pre-orders the book and sends in the receipt, one of those people, we're going to do a drawing to give away a free consult with me. That's valued at $7,500 is what it oftentimes is what it normally costs to come see me for a consult. And we're going to give one of those away for free for everyone that pre-orders this book and sends in their receipt.
So it's 2 books, send a receipt for 2 books to go get all those courses, order even 1 book to go get entered in for one person to win that. And I'm going to put my dear friend Joshua Lisec on the spot. Joshua, what else are you going to give somebody, one random person who orders this book that we've not talked about yet? Joshua has
Yes,
no
so
idea he's
this
about to
is
say this.
yes. So this is something we talked about a few months ago when we were planning all of this. Oh, in the chat, someone says the link doesn't work on Safari or Chrome. Let's just double check the link here, and then we'll talk about the other other bonuses. So we have confirmation the links are all working. I take it. Yes. Okay. So yeah, it might be a matter of refreshing. Might need to refresh or try on
Your
mobile
browser.
or something. Yeah, something like that. So
Maybe we'll
to
go ahead and
reiterate,
drop the link there again.
Okay, great. So
Maria.
to reiterate, go to stayoffmykitchentable.com. You pre-order 2 copies. So you go to add it to your cart on Amazon, and it says 1. You click the plus sign to go to 2. 1 for you, 1 for a friend who needs this stuff. Okay. And then when you pre-order it, oh, in your email inbox, what's this? It's my receipt for pre-order. You take that bad boy and you give it over to ifixhearts.com/bonus. We keep your data private, of course, because it would have like your some of your like your email and whatnot in there. But we keep that private. We don't lease, sell, share, spam, or otherwise engage in any type of shenanigans with that data. That's just a way of making sure that we get you the bundle of all the courses that are available to you as somebody who we like to express gratitude to for pre-ordering 2 copies of the book. That's just a way of making sure we can get it to you, because when you pre-order something off of Amazon or order something off of Amazon, the merchant, the seller, doesn't get your information. Only Amazon does. So this is a way to track who is qualified for the pre-order bonus. As for me, I am a certified professional hypnotist, and I like to work in hypnosis into my books, those that I author or co-author and ghostwrite for people. And I've ghostwritten books on that are specifically about hypnosis for weight loss, hypnosis for stress relief, hypnosis for diet change. So it will be a session with me to address a specific health challenge. This is something that I do one-on-one privately, a little on the side, but I like to often offer hypnosis directly to my ghostwriting clients, as that's a way to help them access memory so I can write more accurate stories in their books on their behalf. So this is something very special that I don't do for just any old Yahoo author speak, but it's exclusively available as a giveaway for one fortunate person who pre-orders your 2 copies of Stay Off My Kitchen Table. There's a few other questions here. Do you have anything else on your agenda, Brian, or Dr.
No, I
Vadia,
think
before we?
Dr. Vadia has to jet to get to his next medical meeting because Dr. Vadia does surgery all day and then does appointments for our patients at Ovadia Heart Health in the evening. So Dr. Vadia, I think, is out of time, but I'll be here for a little bit.
I got a couple more minutes to hang around, and yeah, we're really excited. I saw some questions about, does this apply for people who already had a heart attack? And the answer is certainly yes. I have patients who unfortunately end up on my operating table, right? They don't learn this quick enough, and they ask me what to do afterwards, and the answer is the same answer, right? That's in this book, that's in both books, because whether you already have heart disease or whether you're trying to prevent heart disease, you got to address the underlying factor that leads to heart disease. And that can stop it from getting worse, and it can prevent it. We'd much rather it prevent it from happening in the first place, but if it's already happened, you want to stop it from getting worse. So certainly this book applies to people who already have heart disease.
Larry's asking about an Audible version of the book.
Yes, audiobook is in the works. The book itself releases in July, but if you know anything about typical traditional book publishing processes, they have their authors out here selling the book, 4, 5, 6 months in advance of the release. So we thought, okay, we want to make the book available to you all as soon as we can, but we don't want you to have to wait a number of months or until the summer to actually get your hands on some of the information that can be useful too, because you are experiencing the plateau now. You've got the health concerns now. You want to break through now. So we have this exciting library of courses on all of these topics that we're seeing people ask questions about in the chat that Dr. Ovadia and his team have already created. So when you pre-order those 2 copies, now you get this entire library of courses that can help you now and access them now so that when the time comes, you already have some answers and may indeed find yourself ready for the next level up, which is going to be this elimination diet and bioavailability maxing journey that also teaches you what are the anti-nutrients in food that you ought to avoid, how to prepare them out of your food, how to adjust your cooking and baking and whatnot to eliminate the number of anti-nutrients, because that's something that can stop absorption. So even if you're eating the bioavailable food, someone asked this in the chat earlier, you can be eating quote unquote healthy food, but because there's anti-nutritious, allegedly healthy food that's part of the meals or part of the salads or part of your breakfast or part of what you're preparing, that can ultimately block the absorption of the real whole food that you're eating. So you think, well, I guess low carb just doesn't work for me. Or I guess it just doesn't work. Carnivore doesn't work for me. We hear people hitting a plateau and feeling frustrated because they're doing everything right, but it doesn't seem like it's working, right? So that very well could be it. But we want to get you some help in the meantime and not make you wait all these months. So you pre-order the book and then forget about it, because you're not going to forget about it. This is your health and this is what you want to experience a transformation in. So we want to get you that support and that help immediately. And that's why the courses are available to you as our gratitude for pre-ordering the 2 copies.
We're getting so many good questions in the chat. I love John Roberts' question here. And Dr. Ovadia, I answered it from my generic non-medical answer. John says, I recently changed to a carnivore diet. How long does it take to reverse insulin resistance slash diabetes?
Yeah, and that's a great question that you certainly should discuss with a practitioner who knows this. It's not necessarily a straightforward answer because it really has to do with how long have you had insulin resistance? How long have you been diabetic? How severe is your insulin resistance and or diabetes? So, what I can say is that we see noticeable improvements pretty quickly for people. There have been studies looking at this that in as little as 3 weeks, you can see noticeable reductions in the amount of the fat in your liver, what we call fatty liver, within 3 weeks of going on a low carb or carnivore diet. So changes can happen very quickly. How long it might take to undo the damage that has been accumulating over decades in many cases, that might take a little longer, but you start to see the improvements pretty quickly. And I guess I'd ask Joshua, this is a great question, right? How long after you started eating meat again did it take for you to see some improvement?
3 weeks. 3 weeks, but it was specifically not just going from a vegan diet to eating meat. So it wasn't like I was eating the same thing. It was just, okay, now we're doing, instead of a soy patty and fake cheese, we're eating a beef burger and we're eating like real, let's say real cheese. But everything else in the meal is basically the same. I went into the radical, from my perspective, elimination diet that follows the 4-week track that is written about in Stay Off My Kitchen Table. And it was like a shock to my system in terms of the new energy, getting my mojo back that I hadn't had in years. I had had kind of lingering depression, anxiety, low motivation that I'd struggled with. And again, 3 weeks, it's all gone. The phytoestrogens were an issue. That's like plant-based estrogen from eating and drinking so much soy. One of the audience that this book is really for is if you have a vegan or vegetarian in your life, this book may just save theirs. If you have someone who's stuck in your life who's complained about hitting a plateau where they did everything right and they stopped losing weight, their resting blood glucose increased, for example, or they started gaining weight after losing maybe initially 15, now they're up 6 or 7 again, and they shared with you they don't know what's going on, this is the book for them. Think of an elimination diet as like a reset. But what are you supposed to eliminate? What are you not supposed to eliminate? How do you make sure reintroducing it properly and measuring it so that you know, I ate this and then I felt this. I stopped eating this and I stopped feeling that. Creating a correlation for yourself is how you get clarity, it's how you build confidence and be able to stick with something without needing like a motivational coach, for example, or someone to kind of like rah you along, or just try to make you just grit and Jocko Willink 4:30 in the morning. Let's say self-discipline your way into this, which ironically is something that Scott Adams taught us in Reframe Your Brain. Getting the results you want in your health is not about just white knuckling yourself into a new habit. It's about changing your identity. That this is just who I am and this is what I eat. It's just who I am now. And the way to get there is to change something, know what you did differently before that, notice how you feel differently, and you go, wow, it's actually working. That's how you change your identity and make it easier to stick with long term.
Thank you, Joshua. We need to wrap up here, folks. Real quick, what is one thing you've heard on this call that you're most excited about? Go and toss in the chat the one thing you're most excited about for Stay Off My Kitchen Table, whether it's an idea you heard here or whether it's a challenge you're facing that you are hopeful this book and the ideas in it will help you address. Let's go see what people got out of this call. Jim says reducing insulin resistance. Who else has something they're most excited about? Meanwhile, Rich said, I noticed the more belly fat I lose, the healthier I feel, and my numbers are great. My joints feel great. Joint pain's a fascinating thing, how that relates to what we eat. Amazing. Barbara says, how to avoid taking statins. Maria says, how to retrain my brain. Sandy says, the 4-week elimination plan, already eating carnivore since January 1st. Good for you, Sandy. Michael says, an audio version, listen to audiobooks on my long mountain bike rides. Nice. Rosanna says, tweaking my present low carb diet to help cardiovascular disease. This is just wonderful. So we've got gallstones, we have heart disease, we have structured approach, we have eating better, how what your body absorbs. There is hope, Susan says. After years of being healthy, there is hope. That is why Dr. Ovadia and Joshua Lisec do what they do to go help people at scale take back control of your life. Dr. Ovadia likes to call it health sovereignty, the idea that you own your health. It's yours. It's yours to protect. It's yours to win. And these two gentlemen are going to help you get there. So one last time, it's Stay Off My Kitchen Table to order that book. It's ifixhearts.com/bonus to submit your receipt for 2 or more copies to get or enter into that bonus pool, which everybody's going to get the courses. And then Dr. Vady is giving away 1 free consult. Joshua Lisec is giving away 1 free hypnosis session, which is not a thing you can buy off his website. Dr. Vady, any last words before we wrap up?
Just incredibly blessed and honored that so many people joined us here on the call, live streams. We're really excited and really, like I said, honored that you take time out of your day to come learn about this. And we hope we can pay it forward to you by giving you the tools to take back control of your health.
Thank you all 200 of you for sharing some time with us today. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.